It's all cool. In the long haul, man, you know, we got it in high gear and we're there. And so all of that was worth it, whatever it was, man. You know, I know some kids couldn't even walk out on the playground, man, for fear of somebody else going to beat them up. You know, take their money, take their lunch money. Shit. Kids, we've been bad, man. We've been really, really naughty little children. Ain't we now? Oh, but colorfully so. Some of that shit's almost believable. I mean, almost, you know. But when you start to, like, rise up in this heart presence, this heart consciousness, you know, as I call it, you know, when you become aware, in other words, of the life inside your own sweet little hide, the outside starts to change around a wee bit, you know. You see a little bit more of its comical presence, yes, but you see beyond that too, you know. You see that, you know, really the war thing and the conflict. Oh, what an illusion, man. And the emptiness that drove us into being all of that as savage warriors, G-O-H-O. And to think there's nobility in being a warrior and making war with things, taught to fight everything in this life. I mean, we take the concept of warfare right down to our personal space. Don't you touch me, this is my line, don't you cross that, etc. You see what I mean? Shit. How separate can you be feeling than that, man? Is that the ultimate loneliness, the ultimate darkness? Is loneliness. Is to feel alone in creation, as if you're the only thing that's there and the rest of us just there for your entertainment? Wow. Well, you know, in an abject sort of way, that might be real. But you can't take and fill the emptiness with that now, can you? That's the deal. You can only ride the heart, the pale horse of life, the love that you've lived already. Yeah, those are interchangeable words. They are. Life and love, same thing. If you're living, you're made of love. Because everything comes from the ocean of love, the water of life. And from that we are all created. The rocks, the birds, the bees, the eagles and the trees, man, everything is like together in that reminiscent. Well, reminiscent is not the right word, though we sure can reminisce about it, gee whiz. Wow, we're bouncing around here, and how we take off and fly. You got to get used to these wingy thingies, man. It takes a little doing, you know. But we're just staying in the flow, letting it take us where we really, really want to go. And we're finally realizing what that is. We've been there a couple times this week already, ain't we, guys? Yes, we have, man. Well, I think it continues to be so, actually, you know. Ooh, I never forget that moment a couple of days ago. I finally got to the hot water after a time of denial, you know. I'm spoiled, babies. If I don't get there every week, I just die, you know. And it had been like 2 or 3 weeks, man. I was just dying, man. But somehow I survived. But that moment came. That moment. And that's all I can say, man. I was surrounded by mother. You know how the clouds sometimes look like motherships? I was surrounded by a bunch of them great big old flying saucer looking clouds. Big ones, you know. And the skies above were kind of misty because they'd been chemtrailing. I don't even like to be out on days like that because you got to breathe that crap. It does come down, you know. But anywho, it was beautiful. I couldn't even think about such things, you know. I could just lay there in the hot spring on my back looking up in that sky. And there was a union taking place that to this moment is still in motion. It was like I'd come right back to the embryonic stage of life and was being reconceived of in that moment, but it was my perspective that was reconceiving itself. My person comes right along with it, I reckon, you know, but it's like what I was seeing was what I've been seeing all along, ever since the time of the spotted eagle and the dream I held before it became a reality, you know. And that's living in creation, in that creative moment where all things are, man. And you're just totally in union with the mother love and all that goes with it. She's got her warm arms wrapped around you, baby, and there is nothing to fear here at all. She's got the overriding love. And I'm talking about Mother Earth symbolically, yes. poetically in that warm mineral water, hot springs. I hope you have some near you somewhere. They're equally as magic. They're all over the place, baby. Sometimes they're hidden away. I like to find those, you know. Scout them out and go hang out, man. There you don't have to worry about clothes and stuff, you know. Though we got one of those that is a resort here that has optional clothing, and it's a rockin' good place to be, man, and fun, too. It's a family atmosphere, baby. And there's nothing like the conversations you get into with people at Hot Spring when we're bearing it all, man. I tell you what, those conversations go to some pretty far-out places. And probably not what some of you guys are thinking. I know your genes are a little warped, and that's all you think about is that kind of stuff, but it never really happens, does it? All you can do is think about it. Drives you crazy, don't it? Just like that emptiness does, you know. Same thing. See how we've been directed in that way? Guys, you got a lot of waking up to do. You've still been living like a caveman. I don't care if you got PhD 32 times behind your name. You're still a caveman, you know. Or if you've got, you know, if you're a Rockefeller, I could care less. You're still a caveman. You still have that attitude of ingratitude that brings forward such emptiness that fuels a great lust. And emptiness that has to be filled in a, you know, intimate sort of way. And sometimes it gets really warped, doesn't it? Yeah, I tell you, man, there's a real sickness in that shit. Because it's based on something that ain't real. And that's what makes it unreal. That's what makes it not right. That's why it don't work for anybody. In the male presence especially. Man, it has just been holy terror for us. And for the ladies that you've abused through that kind of attitude. Because inevitably you are abusive when you approach the female in that way. And you know what I'm talking about, guys. We start talking that way when we're just tiny little kids. It's part of the culture we're in. You know, especially here in the Western world. I don't know how it is in your world. You might be a little different, but it's still there. You know, the disrespect built right in for your fellow human beings is incredible. Somebody you worship, I mean, like the divine feminine, yet somebody you look at as just a little plaything, you know, something to get off on, you know. I mean, guys, no wonder you're used and abused. Who can blame them? You give them that kind of power, well, hell, they're going to overwhelm you, man. You know, they don't want to get even, they want to get it right, but they're going to regurgitate on you until we start to understand one another again. We have to move beyond that genetic defect, and it is a genetic defect, you know, but, you know, we can reprogram our genes, our DNA anytime we want. We just allow the heart to think it into being. See, you learn to think a different kind of thought. When you have moments like that, laying there in that old hot tub of life with that natural hot water bubbling up out of Mother's Earth in such a nice hot temperature. Whew. And on a cool day like that, perfect conditions, man. I'm telling you, in 20, 30 minutes, I had it all together. And I had everything I'd come for. Usually it takes me hours. And I would have spent hours there too, but, you know, the place was kind of abandoned and my dog was waiting in the car. And it was going to get cold, so I wanted to get him out of there. You know, I have to be considerate of all beings, myself included. So, you know, we flow through life as the flow takes us, and all gets cared for, and all turns out just right. I had a half an hour, maybe even an hour. I don't know. It wasn't a real long time there at that hot spring, but oh my God. And I had it to myself for a little bit there. And it was just, oh, so together. I mean, just, you know, when the sky and the earth meld with the water in yourself, floating around in that water. I mean, and you see this visibly, you experience it as a presence, as an energy. See, you feel the power of that, don't you? Yeah, see, that's your moment in the hot waters of life, the embryonic water. See, it's just like going back to the womb in a way, because then you begin reconceiving your whole reality from that moment forward. See, it's just like going back to the womb and coming out of it again, man. Not so painful this time, is it? We have a lot to release, a lot to let go of, yes. But we're so damn powerful in the sweetness of this love, this extended mother love that was carried to us once again by the angelic presence of mineral waters that bubble up from the heart of the earth and heated by her heart. There's magic and power in those waters. You can dissolve away anything toxic into those waters. Any misconceptions, even something as deep as what I've been talking about, that fragment in the male that so warped our reality and caused the warlike attitudes and the looting and raping that goes with it and so forth to exist here, you see. Even something as basic as that changes in a moment like that. It's like a switch in polarity, kind of, but it's more like a melding of polarities. The same as you see the reality around you melding. There's a singular energy in all of it. It's visibly present inside and outside your person and all around you too, man. It's that moment of union where you realize your place in creation. And it kind of sneaks up on you like that, though you know for a long time it's coming. But there it is. And you're back together again, just like the scarecrow that got his shit kicked out of him by them flying monkeys. You know, they didn't mean to be mean, but they, you know, were under control of somebody else's desires. And therefore, they were mean little monkeys, and they tried to rip this poor fellow apart. Right there before they ever got to the Wizard of Oz or anything. It was awful, man. But here we are back together again. You know, the monkeys couldn't hurt us. How about that? For all that we've been through and that long journey down that yellow brick road alive, and the wicked witches and the good ones too, and all that goes with it, the burn-up broom and the little dog Toto, that's where I fit in. Woof. Pulling back that curtain one more time. Only this time, instead of a weak old man trying to get by as a liberal wizard in a funky reality kind of got stuck in, this is like, wow, the presence of yourself. And you got your hands on the buttons and switches of everything, man. I mean, you know, it's your show. That's what Toto's telling you. That's what Toto's sharing with you here right now as he pulls back that curtain and says, take a look at what's really here. Take a look at what's really going on. Embrace the fear that keeps you from and say, I love you. You want to protect me from myself? No way, no how. We're getting it on today, man. And then you begin to open, and you will learn to see what love really be by living it. And what we've had before this can only be a mere suggestion, a shadow of what love truthfully is. I warned you guys that Santa Claus had a heavy bag this morning, but the gifts, the goodies were like, wow. And here she comes now, ho, 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 on this Coyote Medicine Show. We got our moment in the flow. See, now we start to see what it really is. It's a resonating energy that guides and directs your position in the reality and corrects your experience if you're getting miscoerced somewhere. Accepting a less than a divine blessing for yourself, see? We've done a lot of that here, haven't we, man? But because we can't escape the fact that love is life and all life therefore is loving, we can't escape the fact that we're unified in that love. That's the moment I'm trying to describe and share with you here from 9,000 feet high in the Rocky Mountain sky. I can't help it if this is where the thin air says, let's take off and fly. Yes, indeedy, that's you and I, man. Rising up like hot air balloons, floating with the precision of an eagle. And having vision every bit as accurate, too. We see through the facade. We see through the dimensional divisions. They're melding in this energy field that's life. And our perception of our experience here has taken a leap. It seems to be a little bit, but boy, it began there and it begins here. That moment is now. And how? Can you handle it, babies? Are you ready for this? This is real. This ain't something you're imagining except from your heart where you create it. Collectively with the rest of us, don't you see? All life lived in unity can't help be, but lived in equity too. Don't you see? Feel that love flowing in your direction, babies. Because it's our direction. It's flowing to you and through you and from you. And wow, all around you, it's everything. It's a beautiful thing we're beginning to experience in a little more full presence than we ever have before. We've expanded. We've allowed expansion. We've moved beyond the fear of a restrictive heart. There never was restrictive heart. Couldn't be. Heart is heart. Love is love. Life, love, same thing. If we're living, we're loving. Yeah, even the tiny reindeers. Rudolph especially, though. I kind of like his red nose. Someday I'm going to describe to you, maybe even today, how Rudolph gets his red nose. You better hang on, baby, to this Coyote Medicine Show. Hold it dear to your heart, don't you know? We got a lot more rock to go with your roll here. A lot more medicine for your heart and soul. Feeling totally inspired, babies? You just got to get wired here with Grandpa, man. Wired in, that is. Yes, indeedy. We don't go ripping around on no speedy. Not you and I. We don't need that crap. We live on life. We're higher than a kite all the time. And, of course, we appreciate the presence of Mary J., who is always there to embrace us and remind us of that moment, too. See, she opens you to that broader perspective. She helps you find the true aspects of your heart. Sometimes by revealing your fears to you, and baby, you just got to grunt down and get through it. Love it for being there. It's a protective thing, even if it's total bullshit. You know, it's like the Wizard of Oz. He meant well. He didn't mean to scare everybody with the big flaming head and the big booming voices and shit. He was just trying to help everybody get along and provide a means by which they could scare themselves into it. You see? Now you're seeing an end to polarity, baby. Yes, you are. It's a melding thing going on here now, and how. Live on the Coyote Medicine Show, and spontaneous, don't you know? It's the flow, baby. There ain't no predicting it, although sometimes you can see where it's headed. But, baby, don't get your head set on it. Let your heart lead you, man. Let the head just relax. It's on the beach in Bimini today, okay? So says Grandpa, getting your day underway with a real wake-up call in the Santa sort of way. Ho, ho, ho. Hey, I do look like him a bit, man. I'm skinny, but wow. I got that, you know, the hairy face, and I got the jolly demeanor, don't I? These are expressions of the universal heart, given in old Grandpa's love. If I stand under the mistletoe with you, you'll know it, won't you? So will I. See, because we already did it, man. See, right there. That's unity, baby. See, it's not about some cheap romantic thing or going down an avenue with each other any which way. It's a moment. It's divine and it's blessed. Underneath the mistletoe, which blesses you, man. A part of Mother Love's creation which suggests to you, for some reason or another, the poetic romance in the energetic gaining of knowing yourself in the presence of another. And then you see it exponentiate, and that presence is in everything. See, it's kind of a key moment when you recognize that. Then you see your soul replicating outward. That's what's known as spiritual expansion, but actually, it ain't just spiritual, because it's real. That's the reality where we create. So as we see it, we exponentiate into it, become that creation. See, the person that we see in the presence of another and experience in that full sort of way. We understand then why we practiced in this way for so long. We got the value now. We finally got down what we couldn't get down for 100 gazillion years before this, man. But we practice in a limited way. Now we know full. A presence, a moment. Pure and simple. It doesn't have to be the old ancient rituals, see. It's a ritual of the heart. It's a movement of simple, pure love. A light little kiss, yet it's a divine uniting of universes and realities and of energies that have been divided forever in a seeming sort of way. See, so in other words, it's an acknowledgement of our step back into the reality as we stand beneath that mistletoe and engage in that delightful activity of a little smooch, don't you know? You see, we're divinely innocent. We don't have to play the game anymore. We just share what we are and be present in that moment with whatever it is, and that's beautiful. And that's more than enough. It's moments like that that we live for, because that's engaging our reality. Bringing our heart back together inside of our own presence through the reflective presence in others, that which we feel and see as very real. In one divine presence or another, some of us are blessed enough to experience it in quite a number of people. Yet we start to see it in everyone, and then it makes it hard to discriminate, doesn't it? It really does. Because your love is so unified. See, we rise beyond the old burdensome kind of love, that which pretty much compelled us into mating no matter what, to one where it's far more, in an essential way, voluntary, a movement of heart. And it's, the act of mating dissolves into an act of creating. You see, it was only a suggestion, a way to carry on life in this threaded reality where we wove ourselves in and out of it. You see, it was just a suggestion of the life we truthfully live, of the presence that we really are. See, now, and how, as we allow ourselves to experience this moment, we begin to expand into that creation again, because we see that person in the presence of another. We experience it in a light little smooch. Maybe even on the cheek, who knows, but lips to lips is usually the most divine way. We don't have to be shy anymore, because we're not present in that old energy. It doesn't exist for us. We don't play in that way. And in fact, we never really did. We had a hell of a time trying to fit into that shit now, didn't we? It's so unreal. When the fact, one moment of shared love, of shared reflective love, of a knowing presence shared, wow, is worth all the generations it took to get there, and all the response and non-responsiveness that went along in those generations bringing you to that time. Baby, but poetic moments are like that. But you got to recognize, see, you're like the hang glider finally flying off of the tallest mountain on earth, man, and gutty enough to do it. And knowing that your presence can't be harmed, that nature loves you enough to spare you that which would harm others. You got that charm in your heart, because you know nature well enough by now to see that she is your presence in creation too. That's what you saw in that other person. That's what's reflected back to you, the natural presence. That which is divinely aware in its creation. Ooh-wee! Now we've all experienced moments like that to lead up to this one. I remember a moment back there, say 95 or so. I was living out there in paradise, man, where they plucked me away from and brought me to this Paradise, Colorado later. Over there in the magical divine lands of, the Pacific Northwest, I had a gracious little valley to live in. It was a pretty primitive life. It's there I began to appreciate my pioneering ancestors and what they had to endure in order to live, just survive, man. They spent full time just taking care of themselves, building up provisions for the winter, chopping firewood. They didn't have chainsaws, man. Stuff like that, So I lived kind of primitive there, but in a fairly privileged sort of way. I have firewood, etc. It was all, it worked, but it was a lot of work keeping it going, And it was, especially in the winter, man, you had to bathe in a pan in the kitchen floor. Stuff like that would happen. You ain't going to go bathe in no creek in December, let me tell you. It's too damn cold. Maybe some polar bears can do it. This little wussy man couldn't. But I was living there in paradise, and I just began to realize, why the ancestors couldn't refuse the call of the heart that moved them forward, and had to be of that pioneering spirit. I come from a long line of that kind of people that, usually are the first on the scene, or some of the first, etc. They're not exactly Daniel Boone, but they're the ones that come right behind that, Man, but some of them brave enough not to be so damn civilized, thank you very much, We can't belittle ourselves for the past, we can only bless it. And bring forward in this moment of now the great reward of all the generations, of all those that suffer even now, so that we can let go of all the suffering, There's a divine moment where the Mother releases us from her grieving heart. And we don't have to bear that burden no more, and realize the blessing of the deep, hard seasoning we got here, and these cold flames of hell, the icy side of life. That would be so embittered against itself as to pick on itself and want to destroy itself, and contain and control the rest of it. Patently absurd from the beginning moment it was ever expressed in this reality. A silly notion, if ever there was one. Yet we went on as humanity to demonstrate its reality more than a few times here. We brought ourselves to a happy ending more than once. That's why we're standing here now, the subject of all of those generations that had to go down so we could rise up. Talk about sacrifice. You feel that in your blood and bones, baby? That's the flow of love creating. It doesn't regret 1 second that it lived in that sacrifice, not one. I was beginning to experience that one day back there in 95, standing on the edge of my hayfield, getting ready to go out and cut some sweet alfalfa, clover, grass. Hey, boy, that's some nice stuff. But anyway, I'm looking there, and I'm feeling that appreciation from my ancestors. Hell, even cutting hay, I got it better than they do. I got mechanized equipment, I don't have to go out there and do it by hand. It's a big field, baby, like 70 acres or so, and I had to do that like 4 times a year, sometimes 5, but usually just 4. Sometimes only 3, sometimes 2, because the water would go away one way or another. See what I mean? It was a pioneering kind of existence, I didn't even always have the money for gasoline to transport myself over to the nearest telephone, which was 18 miles away. There were times I had to walk out of there, but I'd always catch a ride with some of the most righteous people. I remember this one young lady I met from New Zealand, working for the Forest Service on an exchange program. And golly, I'm sorry, but I forget your name, darling, but she was the sweetheart of the mountains there, let me tell you. She got me up the uphill side. We had a great conversation. I walked on down the other side, caught a ride on up to the phone, and the social life of, Applegate, beautiful place that it is. What a great residence, man. What a fun bunch of angels hanging out there, let me tell you. Family, every one of them, man. I still appreciate that divinely. Well, anywho, the young lady from New Zealand, man, she and I became fast friends. She was there for a year or 2, and then she was on her way to South America to go patrol the jungle, doing something similar for some South American country that I couldn't even remember anymore. She was on a long journey of 2 years here, 2 years there kind of thing, man. But there for the while that she was there, she'd come by my house and show us her movies of her travels and New Zealand, and we all of course had a great time, and we usually had a party going on one sort or another, Ooh-wee. But I was standing there now after all of that at the edge of my hayfield one day there, 95, sun's a shining, beautiful, gorgeous day, righteous face of creation looking back at you lovingly from every direction, all the birds and bees and animals happy and content and sounding off in a sweet little singing harmony of nature, man. Goodness, and the creeks are running by you down there, and man alive, life is just good. The air is so fresh and clear, man, it's like it was manufactured right there. Well, it is. You're surrounded by billions of acres of trees, man. Big, tall ones. 100, 200 foot tall, 100 and a half, I'd say, on average. Big timber, man. Beautiful stuff. What a great place to be, man. And tall, craggy mountains above that. The timberline was pretty low there, around 3,000-4,000 feet or so. And these mountains weren't much more than 6,000-7,000 feet. But they surrounded you on all sides. You had to go up over a little pass to get out of that valley. That's why I so appreciated that ride that day, because otherwise I'm walking uphill. Poor old man, that's why I was a young man then. But still, I was in a challenged state of being, let's say, at that time, man, physically. So it was sure sweet to get that ride and to develop that friendship, And I suppose, I really, gotta bless everybody that I met there and all the family. I mean, I had to let go of this whole reality, and come and be someplace else, somewhere else, doing something else after a while, man. But I was so divinely blessed to be there that I still carry that place, those people, all of my righteous family there in the Applegate area. Man, you guys, we're tight, you know. I know I haven't been there for a long time. One of these days there will be a return. I know I told you I'd only be gone for a few days. Well, it's been a few, ain't it? Yeah. And it might be a few more, but it ain't long before our presence rises to the point where such reassociations then become possible again, because we're not just reuniting the family here in the physical reality. We're bringing it together on all levels. You know, that's why I can make this kind of silly talk about, you know, we can manufacture right out here in the prairies out here below us in the San Luis Valley this beautiful, shining, crystalline structure that becomes like the donut hole at the center of reality, that from which life radiates itself outward into creation, in other words. But it's really just kind of a watering hole out here in the desert, a place where those who are thirsty can come and bring their camels to bear and walk on in and find out there's people here that really do care and that are part of that same enlightened family that you thought you left behind. We're surrounded by family all the time, babies. They're both literally and the mystical and the physical too, you know. We don't always know that. You know, because family can be a pretty broad thing. When you learn to hear the harmonies, feel the resonating, in other words, you acknowledge them what you already know. You see who your family really is, don't you know? See, so the program's changing here, man, and all the debts, duties, and obligations of the past, they don't last. Not much longer if they last at all, man. You know, there is no real burdensome reality, and there's no way to be burdened by it, you know. Just can't be. We can only be blessed now by the higher sides of creation and allow ourselves to live there, because that's our natural inheritance. Ho, ho, ho. Santa Claus is here, don't you know, delivering the goodies. Right here on the Coyote Medicine Show, and in another form of medicine all across the earth, don't you know. Of course, the Medicine Show carries all across the earth, too, here on the Hazy Radio Network. Baby, you can tune in New Zealand, thank you guys, and where else? Argentina. I've been seeing all kinds of different nations pop up here lately. It's awesome to have you guys on board. Oh, we don't freak you out too much with this tremendous expansion in reality. This is the real thing, man, you know. Not something that somebody just sitting around talking about and charging you money to find out about. Of course, you could order a Coyote calendar or two for Christmas gifts. Talk about, you know, upsetting your reality and challenging people's sensibility and sharing a whole lot of love in a really righteous way. Don't get much better than a Coyote calendar. I'll be shipping some today, man, for those of you that already ordered, you know. I got a little backlogged here, but I'm caught up now, man. You know, meaning I didn't get around to it. I had so many other things on the list. I wish I had 10,000 orders. I don't. But those that have ordered, here we go, babies. Today is the day. Thank goodness, and thanks for your patience, too, baby. We love you so here on the Coyote Medicine Show. The rest of you out there, well, you might even think about a papal dispensation for yourself, or a gift for a friend that lives in Tennessee or something where they can't smoke pot. Everybody's doing it now. I think they're going to legalize in Tennessee too, man. That's crazy. But if you need a little temporary get-by or just a good laugh, man, you know, get yourself this papal dispensation from the CoyoteClub.com, man. It's only $10, delivered to your door. And it's a righteous memento of an age of repression dying away, man. And an age of, regeneration arising, man. It's kind of like poetically and a harmonically coyote sort of way, a fulfillment of the ultimate joke. Wouldn't you say? In a very coyote way. Now keep that in mind as you digest that, because you may not catch that just yet. If you do, I bless you. You're the one. Well, so that, and him and her and all of us, man. It's hard to distinguish, you know, once you begin to realize the presence in another. That's a reflecting back to yourself an element of your reality, not the full presence of it, yet it's fully there. You feel it. It's a oneness thing, man. And it's difficult to go beyond describing it without getting kind of phonographic here, so I won't do it. But baby, it just rocks. The flow takes you where you want to go, just like the mighty river of life do, you know. No matter how far upstream you get, the flow's taking you back to where you began, man, right there on the edge of reality. where all things join. You know, the ocean of love joins with the shores of time, the sands of time, you know. The seas of love washing gently ashore and creating life, man. And we're living right there, resonating in the full presence of that, man. Talk about Bimini, hell, this beats that even, you know. Well, in fact, it might even be that, you know. I saw a place like that standing there at my old ranch way back there in the mountains back about 95. As I began to appreciate the past, I began to appreciate the present. Wow! More fully than I ever had before, and to live the future. And I saw myself expanding from this place where I was standing in 95. Way out in a long loop. I wrote and lived a dozen books during that extension loop of time, right from where I was standing there in 95. Still standing there, I reckon. And you know what? It began and ended in the same place after going through all these 12 chapters of amazing story that you had to live, you know, and boy, it was a lot, too. I couldn't even comprehend it at the time. Well, I'd say we're about 3/4 or 5/8 through it or something like that. 6/10, man. 9/10, yeah. Let's get up there, baby. Yeah, that's more like it, you know. I think we're on writing the final chapters that wind up at the beginning where it ended before, you know what I mean? It always begins where it ended and ends where it began, because we're always in the same place with it all the time, baby. That's the steady love of reality. That's the spirit soul beyond time, and that's the way we experience it. Steady, real, alive. That's the resonation you're starting to feel and see in life. First, within your own presence, you allow this to be. And then you begin to see and feel it in all of this extended part of your person. That is the reality that you surround yourself with in this moment of time. It's a divine moment. You're aware of your presence in it now. And you see it reflecting back to you from all of this around you, as well as inside that soft little hive, that sweet little ride that we are, the journey in love. Feeling deep, colorful, passionate, ready to explode, yet gently so. The heart's just overflowing these days. You can't help but go with it. The flow is mighty. It's like it's been raining up there in the Himalayas forever, and the river of life is chock full, man, and about to go over its branches, except now it already has flooded the whole reality, but not with water. With the awareness of water, the conscious presence of feeling, the liquidity in life, the flexible, malleable, beautiful waves and motions and emotions and deep feelings that we are expressed as life, experienced cosmically, constantly. And we just become aware of that cosmic reality and our place in it, babies. See, you feel that veil falling off from the left or the right side of your head right now. It varies from person to person. See, it's softening up. It's opening up. You're awakening. The eclipse is over. See, it only has to be there for so long, and its time's up. Get out of here. Enough's enough. Time to live timelessly, baby. Time to rock this reality. Time to be who we ought to be, because that's who we are. Don't you say? Oh, you're getting it the Coyote way today, here on the Coyote Medicine Show. Only on the Hazy Radio Network, don't you know, baby? You better stay tuned. I got a whole lot more on this Coyote Medicine Show. So I'll be right back here in just a few moments, but Tom really has to do this, and I really want him to, and I know your heart's just crying for it, baby, so here you go. Well, I guess that's the message of this Wowzer Wednesday today. The heart's saying, babies, I have come here not just to play, but to put into play the reality in which we live. See, babies, we've allowed ourselves and this creation as our mother and father have allowed us to drift quite a ways from our truth. With the perfect agreement in the beginning that, of course, after so far out, we're going to loop on back. And we're just coming on the completing side of that loop on back, like those 12 books I dreamed myself living from right there in that moment of time in 95. Living in paradise and getting the drive to move on and be part of this reality, part of this exchange, where I take all the hearts that I've ever known and expand them into the unity of oneness by living in creation and sharing that creation everywhere I go. And I've been called to a lot of presences in a lot of places, sometimes for the most absurd purposes, yet it fulfills itself perfectly. We're uniting energies, we're putting pieces of the puzzle together to the time of now. And how? Because this is where the puzzle unites. You see the clear picture then. It's no longer fragmented. You might see some little sectioning squiggles, but I don't think so. This is a pretty smooth puzzle. Once it's together, it ain't never coming apart. It's got the glue of reality to it, you see. It's the way we lived it. Now forgive me, we're going to go about 5-6 minutes overtime today. But oh well. When we're in the flow, we keep on with the medicine, don't you know? We got till noon here, baby. So, stay tuned for another 2 hours of repetitious love here in that Coyote sort of way. And then again tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time, we come out to play 5 a.m. here in the mountain states. Ooh, the mountain regions, I should say, because we cover a whole lot of territory here worldwide on the Hazy Radio Network, sharing the love of your own persuasive heart, man, So let's let off today where we began, man. It's quite some time ago. See, we always come full circle. We always come right back to where the beginning is, because that's where we remain. The experience is an extension of our presence. Our presence always remains centered and available at the point where all begins. Oh, babies, if you don't get it, come on back tomorrow morning. We'll have some more fun, okay? And hang on. There'll be more Coyote medicine. We're dosing it out sweetly today, baby. Wowzer Wednesday underway still. As we take the reins and the helm of, the Coyote medicine show and the Santa's righteous sleigh underway, man. All those 9 tiny reindeer, especially this dude with the red nose. Maybe we'll talk about him tomorrow. Ooh, and we missed the last part of, oh wow, I'm slipping today, babies. Orson Welles, he's upset, but he's okay. He's a cool dude, man. He wished I would have got it on, but tomorrow's the perfect day for the last segment of the begatting of the president from the way back when the revolution really started taking hold and becoming obvious to the war makers that they were in trouble. They were having difficulty with a whole generation that just didn't line up like sheep to go get slaughtered, man, or sheared or whatever, There was a whole new presence and awareness. Love was awakening in the children of humanity, babies. Just like it is right now in a far more expansive way. Continue, babies. Flow with it, glow with it. I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Now let's get old Tommy James and the Shondales underway. Oh, we're living this legend right now and fulfilling it too, babies. From right back in the moment where we all began.
Crystal blue persuasion. It's a new vibration.